Howdy folks, my name is Frank and this is my workshop. So today we have a super easy project made from a single piece of cedar or cypress or redwood, and it's a bluebird house, and it's something you can make with your kids. Here's one I made with my granddaughter. She painted it, turned out great. So all you need to do is go to the lumber yard and buy a 6-foot piece of 1x6 cedar, white cedar. This is red cedar. Either one works great. Like I said, you can use cypress, you can use redwood. Those are a little bit more expensive. Cedar is probably the cheapest. All right, so here I'll show you a list of the pieces that you need to build this. Here is kind of a build list. You need buy one piece, 1x6, about 6 feet long, and you're going to cut 6 pieces out of it. You're going to cut one piece 13 inches long, that'll be the back, 2 pieces 8 inches long, and those will be the front and the top, 2 pieces 9 inches long for the sides, 1 piece 4 inches long for the bottom. So all pieces are 5.5 inches wide, which is the standard width of a 1x6. A 1x6 is actually 3/4 of an inch by 5.5 inches. So those are the dimensions that you need. There are a number of ways to cut lumber. If you have hand tools, you can use hand tools. You can use power tools. If you want to get some hand tools, some of the best hand tools for cutting lumber. One of my favorite saws is a Japanese crosscut saw like this. It's razor sharp. It's a very thin blade. Takes very little effort to cut a board. So I'll cut one piece with this, and then we'll go to the miter saw to cut the remaining pieces. All right. So the first piece we need, we're going to cut the back. It's 13 inches long. So we'll start from the end, mark 13 inches. And we'll cut on that side. It only takes a few minutes to make that cut. All right, if you have power tools in your workshop, then there's an easier way. So we'll go to the miter saw, crosscut saw, and make the rest of the cuts. All right, so here we are. Here we are at the miter saw, and this is a particularly nice saw because it has a laser to mark where the cuts, where the saw blade will cut. So if you can see that or not, but we'll make some cuts here. We'll measure the lengths and cut the remaining pieces to length here. Let me get my face shield. Normally in the workshop, even though I have ANSI rated glasses, they don't have side shields. I wear these all the time. So they don't provide total protection. They do provide some protection. I normally wear a face shield, slip over safety glasses or goggles, fog up or cause other problems. So the face shield is my preferred eye protection. It does muffle my voice, so forgive that, but we'll go ahead and cut these pieces to length. That one was 8 inches. And one more at 8 inches. And we need 2 at 9 inches. And one, as I said, at 4 inches. If you don't have a saw at home or don't feel comfortable cutting these pieces at home, then you can certainly get the home center to cut them for you. Most lumber yards will have a saw and do, for a modest price, cut pieces to length. So all you need is the list of lengths and ask them to cut the board to length for you. All right, let's look at this completed birdhouse. There's a couple things we need to do to the pieces we've cut to length in order to get them ready to assemble into a completed birdhouse. So you'll notice on this birdhouse that the bottom has 4 corners cut away from this rectangular piece used for the bottom, and those are to create drainage holes. You don't want the birdhouse, if for some reason it leaks, to fill up with rainwater. That lets water drain out of the bottom of the hole, out of the bottom of the house. This particular birdhouse has 3 ventilation holes drilled in one side. You can do that. You could even drill them on both sides if you want. I think today we'll take a little different approach. I'll show you a second way to do it. And that's just for the front panel, is just leave it a little bit short or let it hang down a little bit long, which will leave a gap across the front at the top, which will provide the same, accomplish the same thing, provide some ventilation. You'll notice that the back has 2 holes, top and bottom, which allow you to nail it or screw it to a post. Now normally bluebird houses are best placed along a tree line at an area between woods, trees, and a pasture or field. So if you have a backyard with woods behind your house, along the tree line is the best place to set up a bluebird house. The size of the hole here is 1.5 inches, and we'll show how we drill that. Now, in this particular box, there's a second piece of wood placed here, also with the hole drilled through it, and it's glued to the front. And what this is really a squirrel barrier. It provides an additional security, prevents the squirrel from, reduces the risk of a squirrel chewing through the opening and trying to get inside. So that's just a safety feature. You don't have to add that, but you certainly can. All right, so that's the fundamentals of it. On this particular birdhouse, we have 2 screws that hold the top on. You can undo these 2 screws, take the top off to clean it out. And it's advisable to clean it out. I think they recommend you clean it out every year, but every couple of years would probably be all right too. So, all right, so let's get to modifying some of these pieces so we can put them together. Okay, so let's make the cuts on the bottom. So I've set up just a piece of scrap wood here, and this is the bottom, which is 5.5 wide by 4 inches, and we're going to cut the corners off. And there's really the dimensions are not critical. You just want to knock the corners off. So really. Okay, so that piece is done. All right. The next two pieces are the sides. These are each 9 inches long. So on our birdhouse here, let's make some measurements here. The side is 9 inches long at the back and 8 inches long at the front. So we need to cut a strip of wood off on here, 1 inch wide here at an angle. So to do that, we simply measure down 1 inch. Measure down 1 inch. Draw a line from that point to the corner, and we'll cut on that line. Let's do that on the other board. Measure down 1 inch. Draw the line, and we'll cut. All right. So I'm going to go over to the miter saw. I'll make these 2 cuts and be right back. Okay, we're back. We've got these the 2 sides with the angle cut on them. So one for the right and one for the left, just like that. So these are the 2 pieces that are 8 inches long. One will be the roof and one will be the front. So first thing we're going to do is let's cut a hole in the front. Okay, so we're getting ready to drill the hole in the front for the bird's front door. And it's 2 inches down from the top. And we'll just make a very light line across toward the middle, and we want to center it. And as I mentioned, these boards are all 5.5 inches wide, so half of that is 2 3/4. So that gives us the location to drill the hole. So let's go over to the drill press and do that. Okay, so here we are at the drill press. I'm going to use a Forstner bit. This is a bit that it makes nice clean holes in lumber. You can buy different types of bits at the home center. You want one that's 1.5 inches in diameter. So we'll chuck this up and drill our hole. You notice I have a piece of scrap wood underneath so that when we go through this board we don't drill into the table, which of course would ruin. Let's walk over and get my face shield. And there we go. All right. Okay, we're back here at the workbench. So let's see where we are now. We've got two sides a bottom that fits between them. The back. Let's go ahead and set them on the back just like this. You see, assembly is super easy. The dimensions are not even critical. As long as you get them close, you'll be fine. The important thing is to get your cut square so that, you know, the pieces fit together. And of course, we don't want this all the way at the bottom. Let's leave some space at the bottom. So we can put a hole through it to mount it. Here's our front. As I said, we're going to leave that down a little bit from the top so that there's opportunity for some ventilation. And then here's the top. So it'll go on just like that. Okay? And we'll have a small gap here for ventilation. Okay? Probably, I think, 1/4 of an inch is plenty. Anywhere from 3/16 to 3/8, but you don't need any more than that. You don't want any more than that. I would keep it at about 1/4 of an inch. That'd be plenty. Okay. So the last thing we should do is, so that this piece of wood meets the back and doesn't have, and meets it at an angle. And you'll see on the one we made here that this board is cut at the same angle as the sides are cut, so that it meets flush. So we need to make the same cut on the back. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is cut a bevel on the end of the top, and the angle we're looking for is 10 degrees, which is the same angle that we cut on the sides. If you cut 1 inch down and across, that angle is approximately 10 degrees. So we're going to cut 10 degrees, but this time we're going to cut a bevel cut as opposed to an angle cut across that. All right, so we'll set the saw to cut a bevel at 10 degrees. So we need to lift that out of the way, unlock it. Push it over to 10 degrees, lock it in position, and so that'll cut right down at an angle. So there we go, we've got our 10-degree angle cut. All right, so let's go back to the workbench. Okay, so back here, let's test fit, and looks like the angle is pretty much perfect. All right, so we've got all our pieces cut to size. Now all we got to do is assemble them. Okay, we have all our pieces cut, so let's start putting our Bluebird house together. So we have the two sides, the bottom, and we'll turn around this way. And then we have the front. All right, so let's nail the front on first. We'll leave it down a bit from the top. From the sides. Okay, and let's go ahead and nail the bottom in. And we want to leave a little bit of a space between the bottom here and the sides, so any rainwater running down the sides will fall off as opposed to being turned into the end grain of the bottom. These are little 4-penny box nails. Perfect for building a box. Alright. And next thing will be to put the back on. Okay, so we've got the sides nailed to the bottom. Next thing we're going to do is nail the back on. And we just want to space it evenly that way. Okay, so we're good so far. Last thing is to put the top on. Alright, so we're going to put the top on like that. And in order to do that, we're going to use screws this time. Okay, in order to screw the lid on, we're going to use 2 screws. And we need to drill pilot holes. We'll drill 2 pilot holes, and we'll come back and put a couple screws in. So the drill has a drill bit for drilling the pilot holes. Change the drill bit out to a driver. Now I'm just going to use a couple of drywall screws. Everybody should have a box of these around the house. Alright, and the last step is to put a couple of screws in. So then that allows you to remove these 2 screws and take the top off to clean the birdhouse out. So there you go. It's finished. I don't think you could come up with a easier design than this Bluebird house, made out of western red cedar. All you have to do is drill a hole in here and a hole in here, and why don't we do that? Alright, so this is about a 3/16 drill bit, and the size is not critical, neither is the location, so approximately in the center, top and bottom. Nice thing about this is if your cuts are a little bit off, or your screws are a little crooked or something, it doesn't matter. The birds won't care, they won't complain, they'll be perfectly happy. So there you go. This one's going to go out in the backyard along the tree line. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are new to the channel, welcome. We're just getting started. If you liked this video, appreciate you hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We've got some more projects planned. I work on Cub Cadets, vintage Cub Cadet tractors, and I do a lot of woodworking and machine work. So there's more videos to come, and hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. See you next time.